G'day. What we're going to go on to this week is we're going to go on to the topic of ratio. Now, ratio's about talking about quantities that are in an order. So let's talk about the quantities of the dots at the top of the screen. You should be able to see that there are 5 dots there. There are 3 of them are orange and 2 of them are blue. So we could say that the ratio of orange dots to blue dots was 3 to 2. Now notice this thing in the middle with the 2 dots, or the colon. That's the symbol we use to indicate ratio. So we would say that there are 3 yellow dots to every 2 blue dots. Here's another situation. We've got 6 yellow dots and 4 blue dots. So the ratio for these would be 6 to 4. Now ratios can be simplified in the same way as fractions can, by dividing the items in the same form. One way we can divide these is we can see that they're in sets of 2, so we can divide both sides by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now this gives us 2 sets of ratios, and they're said to be equivalent. Question 2a of the worksheet asks us to simplify the fraction 20 to 25. Now both 20 and 25 can be divided by 5. So 20 divided by 5 would be 4. 25 divided by 5 would be 5. Now that will give us our simplest ratios. We can actually go further and divide and get a decimal. So if I wanted to actually divide by 4, 4 divided by 4 gives me 1. And 5 divided by 4 gives me 1.25, or 1 1/4. And it's perfectly acceptable in a ratio to express one of the numbers as a fraction or as a decimal. It's even possible to use a mixed fraction, but generally the answer that we'd be looking for would be this 4 to 5. If you were asked to express it as a unit ratio, then this is the answer. So this would be a unit ratio, and this would be simplest form. Question 2a asks us for just to simplify, so we would use generally simplest form. Question 3 asks us to simplify questions involving ratios of units. Now first of all, the first thing we need to do is we need to convert our units into the same thing. Now there are 100 centimetres in a metre, so the first thing that we need to do is convert everything into centimetres. So 120 is already in centimetres, 1 metre is 100 centimetres. Now what we do is we go forward and we divide everything by the same amount, and we can do this in stages. So this first time, what I'm going to do is first of all go by dividing by 10. Now 100 divided by 10 would give me 10, and 120 divided by 10 would give me 12. Both of these are even numbers, so we can divide by 2. 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. 10 divided by 2 gives me 5. And now we have the answer in the simplest form. 5 is a prime number, and 5 is not a factor of 6. Question 4 starts off by asking us to simplify or express the ratios of the areas of the following squares in simplest forms. Now, remembering that we need to work out the areas, so for the area of this being a square would be 1.5 times 1.5, or 1.5 squared, which is 2.25, or 2 1/4. The area of the blue square would be 2.5 squared, or 2.5 times 2.5, which would be 6 1/4. So 6 1/4. Because the denominator on both sides of the fraction is 4, we are already in a ratio here, but to express it in the simplest form, the thing that I would do here would be to multiply both sides by 4. 2 1/4 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8, 1/4 times 4 is 1, so 8 and 1 would be 9. And on the other side of the ratio, 6 1/4 times 4, 6 times 4 is 24, 1/4 times 4 is 25, so this will actually be 25. Notice when we deal with ratios, we never change the order of anything we're doing. If it's yellow to blue, then it's yellow to blue all the way down. Now this would be this in the simplest ratio. Notice we had to times by 4. Normally when we simplify, we're trying to get a smaller number, but timesing and dividing are the opposite sides of the same coin, so we're still going for the same result in the end.